the service button? I'm finding it. I don't care what you say. It's air conditioning service. Coffee, tea, paper. Technician. Alright, I'm calling the technician. Hey John, I need to talk to the technician about HVAC.
All right, good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order for the Public Safety Finance Strategic Support Committee for August 17th, 2023. We're going to begin, actually, before we go to roll call, I want to remind the Public Safety Finance Strategic Support Committee members and members of the public to follow our code of conduct at meetings. This includes commenting on specific agenda item only and addressing the full body. Public speakers will not engage in a conversation with the chair, council members, or staff. All members of the Public Safety Finance Strategic Support Committee, staff, and the public are expected to refrain from abusive language. Repeated failure to comply with the code of conduct, which will disturb, disrupt, or impede the orderly conduct of this meeting, may result in removal from the meeting. This meeting of the Public Safety Committee will come to order, and can the clerk please call the roll?
Batra,
Present.
Torres,
Present.
Kamei. Here. Dewan,
Present.
Jimenez.
Present.
All present, thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. We're going to go to that was item A. Item B is review of the work plan. We have two items. The committee work plan for August 2023 to December 2023. We also have recruitment, hire, and retention strategies quarterly status report. That item's being deferred. We also have the police department recruitment and hiring activity annual report. That item is also being deferred. Before we go to the committee and before we entertain a motion, let's go to the public on any public comment on the review of the work plan.
Blair Beekman.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Thanks for the meeting today. Just speak on police recruitment issues and on the work plan issues through June 2024. In May of 2024, you'll have police department reform and operational improvement recommendations. You approved of an item on that yesterday, I think, or this week at City Council. How is that going? Is that a part of the April reports that was put off then until June and then until, I guess, August? I'm interested, if there was supposed to be a new IPA who was supposed to review that. Hopefully that can be a bit more open and public in our understanding about, say, the fentanyl issues. How are we going to address the future fentanyl issues? I think I've been learning that, there's a process where, the former SJPOA person was handing them out as part of a kind of a jail program for people inside the jail. So it had a nursemaid approach, but that does not exclude what really could be taking place throughout the city with fentanyl distribution. That it was sort of my questions that needs to be an open subject matter that has to have discussion. Good luck in those efforts. I think it's really hampered to bring in the police recruiting ideas. It's hampered your police recruitment ideas. What exactly we're going to do in the future of that. I think it's important that you do have to talk about the future of equity and reimagine, and as a balance of how to talk about police recruitment. You can't just, I know you want to give it the full effort to say how wonderful our police are and how it can help the community, but that has to be balanced in the new questions of what exactly reimagine can be about and how we are moving into a future of more health and human services instead of always relying on police. We all want to work that way, and it's time to learn to offer those practices, how to do that in the upcoming recruitment process. Thanks for your time.
Back to the committee.
Thank you. And we have a few committee members that I think first is Vice Mayor Kamei.
Thank you. I'm okay with deferring the items. I certainly understand it. But one of the things that I'm a little bit sort of concerned about is as we continue to defer, one of the situations is that you start getting them backed up. And, September is going to be a very heavy sort of month on different issues. So I would just caution, as we start looking at the work plan, that we sort of balance some of the issues, and we're not going to have certain meetings, and so I just caution, that's all. And with that, I would move the item.
Second.
can clerk's office remind me, do we need a motion to accept the work plan? We do, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So there's a motion and a second. Just to that, Vice Mayor Kamei's point, you know, these were due to be heard today. They're deferred for a variety of different reasons. They're going to come back in September, and so that leads me to believe maybe we'd hear them before the full council sometime in early October-ish, mid-October-ish, given that they're coming before us on the 21st of September. Is that a general sort of estimation?
Rob Lloyd, Deputy City Manager. I'm not sure if these items actually have referrals to
Oh,
council.
true, if they're cross-referenced,
Yeah,
right.
so I think you're safe
Correct.
on referrals. We did talk about the overall workload. It is going to be a heavy September meeting, but we did want to put both of them on September to try to rebalance, and you'll get a better report on one. And we think that at least 2 of the reports on September are brief enough that we can fit the things together. It will be a longer meeting, though.
Yeah, and just for so thank you, and then just for some context, as an example, actually both of these, I guess, or maybe mainly item 3, Police Department recruitment and hiring. I think the reason that that's deferred is some of the staff that was going to present, and certainly some folks in the city manager's office, and we're all here, but there's actually a service going on at the very moment for the recent passing of a retired officer and such, and so that's one of the reasons we're doing this. So I certainly don't take it lightly, but I think in these circumstances, you just need to be a little flexible. But I appreciate the comments. I think Councilmember Torres had some comments.
Great, thank you. Yeah, no, and before I do ask for the items that I'm going to be bringing up, I do want to send my thoughts to Captain Schrieffer. I worked with him out in the Foothill area when I was working for then Councilmember Carrasco. So my condolences to his family. And I know yesterday we also had an unfortunate incident, and so my prayers and healing vibes to our officer who got shot yesterday. My 2 items that I would love for this committee to hear about or to learn about are San Jose CERT. I'm bringing up San Jose CERT because we have a lot of folks in CERT who are from Nagley Park and Japantown, and I know that we've recently had a resignation from the lead on that, and so I would love for us to have a presentation about CERT. And then the other one is, I've been seeing it a lot on social media. There's a page that devotes its history to San Jose, and the person asks for folks who either have a cold case or a family member who died, and you know, justice wasn't. They didn't get any justice regarding it, so cold cases. So I would love to see if we can have a status report on the cold cases in the city of San Jose, as they are really heartwarming and touching and unfortunately very sad. So if we can do that, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Torres. I know, Rob, you're sitting in for Lee. Lee and I talked about this a little bit, and I think the cold case component of Councilmember Torres' interest, I think we thought can be plugged into some of the other presentations that would be given. CERT, obviously, a consideration across the city. In South San Jose, I know a lot of folks are very engaged in that. So we thought it can be easily incorporated into some of the stuff that we're doing. So Lee had said that it would be just appropriate to have this conversation, a dialogue, and then you all would take note, and then we can revisit that when we look at the work plan.
Yes, Chair, we'll follow up on it. In November, there is an overall report on police status that the one naturally fits, and we'll follow up on the others and come back to you on the work plan.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and take the vote on this item, review of the work plan. I think that's unanimous. All right, wonderful. We're going to go ahead and, we don't have anything on consent. We're going to move to item 1, and that's the fourth quarter financial reports for fiscal year. I know we have Rick Bruno. I apologize for the pronunciation. Kian Yu Soon from Finance, John Kakmanian, and Albi Udom. So I know you're smiling as you're coming down and thinking, Jesus, he massacred the names. My apologies. But thank you so much for being here. We look forward to receiving the information.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. My name is Rick Bruno, the Director of Finance. I'm here with Albi Udan, Deputy Director in our Purchasing and Risk Management Group, Chin Yu Sun, Deputy Director in our Treasury and Debt Management Group, and John Kashmanian, our Deputy Director for Revenue Management. They're going to walk you through the slides today, and I'll pass it over to Chin Yu.
Good afternoon, Chin Yu Sun, Deputy Director of Finance for Debt and Treasury Management. And today I'm going mainly to talk about the city's debt management and investment management programs. So this is a look. This is a chart of the city's outstanding debt of the June 30, 2023. The debt portfolio total outstanding on that date was $4.6 billion. The total debt issuance for the year, including both long-term and short-term, was almost $840 million. And on that chart, there is a section is marked in blue color. Those are conduit debt. As of June 30, 2023, the conduit debt the city had was almost $870 million. The conduit debt is the debt the city issued for the benefit of a third-party obligor. In this case, all of them are multi-housing debt. In this kind of a debt, the city is not pledging any faith and credit in the payment. The obligation to pay the debt service and make sure the debt are in compliance with all the covenants fall on the responsibility of the third-party obligors. And the city's direct debt is mostly made of a GO, lease revenue debt, and a Sierra tax allocation debt, and enterprise debt. The enterprise debt we currently have are mostly from ESD and airport. So during the last quarter, we made some issuance of majority of the issuance are multi-housing debt. As I referenced before, those are conduit debt. The total issuance for the multi-housing debt for 4 projects were about $222 million. They are made up of both taxable debt and tax-exempt debt. And in addition to the multi-housing revenue debt, we also issued some short-term debt for some of the city's projects, mostly airport project, ESD project, and then some park project for flood improvement. In addition to the normal debt services that we paid off 2022 trans and then airport CP Series B in the last quarter, and then Clean Energy also paid off for $20 million of its outstanding CP. As of right now, they only have about $20 million outstanding. So in addition to issue and paying off debt, the debt management team does a series of other activities. For instance, during the last quarter, we extended the subordinate wastewater revenue note for another 3 years to October 2026, and we reduced that facility from $300 million to $200 million. We brought that subject to the council in June of this year. And we also, in addition to that, we also completed a solicitation for municipal advisory services, and we selected an advisor for 6 engagements. The municipal advisor services solicitation is a big lift during the fourth quarter. The consultant selected will serve the city for the next 5 years, providing advisory service on the financing and then refinancing opportunities on GO, lease revenue debt, enterprise debt, including airport, ESD, clean energy, and then housing debt, and also land secured projects. In addition to those contractual administration, we also did some reporting and compliance reporting for some of the debt. Though these compliance reporting are are required by the financing institute, and not all the debt have the same. We file them as required by this contractual agreement. Upcoming project for the next quarter through September 30, 2023, including we'll start issuing commercial paper for the Muni Water Administrative Building, possibly in the fourth quarter of 2020, fourth calendar quarter of 2023. And we have issued some commercial paper for the airport, for the building of the facility administration building, and then the project is ongoing. We'll be issuing additional commercial paper to finance the project. We are currently also exploring refunding potentials for airport bonds. Airport has about a $78 million callable as of March 1st, 2024. So we are examining the opportunity to refinance those debt if the market condition is favorable. Additionally, we will issue a request for proposal for arbitrage rebate calculations, and then select the arbitrage rebate consultant. And currently, staff are working on executing all the contract with the municipal advisors selected in June. So this is some market outlook regarding the interest rate. Tax-exempt debt as of July is charging up, but has a yield about 3.54% versus the 10-year average was 3.03. This is a look at the market indicator for the variable debt. The city's CP and then commercial paper note and the short-term notes are benchmarked on the short-term rate. We did provide a LIBOR rate that's in the black line, and as of last year, as they were still published during the year. Going forward, we'll be relying on the red line, which is a SOFR, is a security overnight financing rate, as our benchmark for variable rate forecast. The city's geodebt is highly rated. We're rated by AA1, A+, and then AAA by the three major agencies. We're on par with the County of Santa Clara and slightly better than the state of California. We also have a bunch of, most of other city debts are also rated in a different rating category. The city's issuer rating is slightly lower than the geo debt because the city issue a variety of debt. The issuer rating is in consideration of all the city outstanding obligations. So you can see the ratio rating is a AA1, AA1, AA plus, and AA plus. So it's not a AA1, AA1, and AAA. And the lease revenue debt, because they have the lease payment for the pledged assets, so they are rated, tend to be a little bit a notch below the city's issuer rating. And then if the asset pledged is a less essential asset, the rating goes one further notch down. Waste revenue debt, as we all know, it was issued last year, and they were AAA rated all across the board. Additionally, we also have enterprise debt and then tax allocation debt. Their enterprise debt is slightly lower than the city's general credit debt, so they're in the single A category. And then Sarah debt are they're pledged by the tax revenues, so they're a little bit higher. They're in the AA category. So that's about our debt program. Let me go to the investment program. The city's investment policy is Council Policy 112. All the investment in our portfolio meet the requirement of city's investment policy and conform with the California Government Code Section 53601 and etc. We only invest in authorized investment that are highly rated fixed income securities. The investment policy is reviewed annually, and it was last adopted by a resolution of the City Council on March 14th, 2023. The program is audited semi-annually for compliance purposes. The investment policy objective is safety, liquidity, and yield in that order, and then that's what we follow in managing our portfolio. Our quarterly reports are available to the public online, and it's also in the PISVIS agenda packet, and we will also put in the City Council agenda packet in September, if approved by the PISVIS committee, of course. In our current report, we noted this independent accountant report on the AUP. And the report by our auditor noted the two findings. The first finding is related to the variance of market value due to the timing of the market. So basically, staff extracted the reports before the market value was updated, causing some variance. Since then, the staff has subsequently corrected the fair market value in the investment management program. The other finding was related to the variance between the city's GL and then our investment system. So this is really it's a human error. So the staff has implemented an additional reconciliation process to prevent such errors from happening in the future. We have corrected the error. The auditor's report found no exception to the city's investment policy for the last for the 6 months they were auditing. That's July to December 2022. Now let's take a look at our portfolio as of last year. So at the year end, June 30, 2023, the portfolio was valued around $2.9 billion. The earned interest yield, that's the earning for the year, was almost 2.9%. And the weighted average days maturity was at 530 days, was very low. And then the portfolio earned the city of $62 million for the year, which is the highest rating highest amount of earning as far back as I could remember. I've been with the city since 2014. This is the most money we have ever earned for the city with the portfolio. Of course, it's not all our effort. It's the market and the size of the portfolio all played into that. And then but I cannot discount the hard work staff has put in. And there was no exception to the city's investment policy during this quarter. The city's investment portfolio is invested in a variety of asset classes. The majority of the city's portfolio was invested in U.S. Treasuries, agencies, as they should be, because those are the safest and the highest quality investments. The city's investment investment pool is made of funds from all over the city funds, including special revenue funds, and then enterprise funds, internal service funds. The general fund is the biggest piece of this pie, with $832 million as of June 30, 2023. The general fund balance, actually I want to point out there's a little bit error in the wording. The general fund balance increased by $173 million during the last quarter, mostly because we received the property tax. The property tax is paid into the city in two big lump sums. One's in January, the other one is in June. So the increase in this quarter of the $173 million was not due to debt service payment. That's the payout. It's actually due to the receipt of the property tax payment minus some expenditure. So I apologize for that. So as I explained, that the city received the property tax in two big lump sums in January and June, so our general fund balance tend to peak during those periods. And for the rest of the year, we kind of decline a little bit. As required by investment policy, we have sufficient amount of investment maturities, cash and revenue inflows to cover our anticipated expenditure for the next 6 months. This is just a chart to show you how the how the balances of each fund changes throughout the year. As you can tell, the red line is the general fund, and then it shows some obvious peaks in January and June. So we compare our investment portfolio pools performance with LAIF and then Bank of America Merrill Lynch 123 index. We currently, for the last 2 years, the portfolio generally outperformed the Merrill Lynch index. We outperformed LAIF for most part of the 2-year period, but in recent probably 6 year also, we are on par with LAIF. If you look at the minor detail, I think LAIF currently outperforms our city's portfolio a little bit. The reason of that is the LAIF is a much shorter portfolio. When the interest rate is fast rising, so it has a quick turnover, so we'll pick up the new higher interest rates a lot faster than the city's portfolio. We do not time our investment with the market condition. We mostly try to use the portfolio to serve the liquidity needs for the city. So we do the asset liability matchment. So we match asset liability matching. So we try to time our investment maturity to our cash outflows. So we tend to be a little bit slow in picking up the overall yield with the fast increase rates when the interest rate is increasing very fast. As our investment strategy, we haven't really changed much, so we are continue matching the known expenditures with the investment within the next 24 months horizon. We try to extend a portion of the portfolio beyond 2-year term when it is appropriate. In today's market condition, it's not always so because, as we all know, the yield curve is inverted. So I'm very cautious. So if we invest in longer term, we're actually earning less return than in a shorter security. So I'm very cautious about that. And we also want to maintain the diversification of the portfolio. The only freebie in the investment market is diversification. You lose nothing by diversifying. The further diversified you are, the safer the portfolio there will be. And of course, safety, liquidity, yield, we focus that in that order. Next, I'll give it to John.
Thanks, Jinyu. John Kachmanian, good afternoon. I'm Deputy Director of Finance in Revenue Management, and I'll be presenting our Revenue Management Report. The Revenue Management Team's charter is to collect on outstanding receivables, reduce delinquencies, and ensure compliance across our 4 revenue programs. These are accounts receivable invoices, business tax certificates, taxpayer compliance and monitoring, which involves conducting taxpayer audits and performing ongoing tracking and collection activities, and utilities, which involves water, sewer, and garbage billing. In FY 21-22, total citywide revenue was $4.624 billion. The largest citywide revenue sources were our capital fund at $742 million, our airport fund at $425 million, property tax at $414 million, and the San Jose Clean Energy contribution of $401 million. Revenue management programs comprised approximately 30% of citywide revenue at $1.372 billion. This chart shows invoices billed and payments collected through our business tax, accounts receivable, and utility billing programs. In FY 21-22, our percentage collected was 96.2%, representing $663 million. Delinquencies were a little higher than usual in FY 21-22, given an intentional pandemic-related slowdown in some of our collections activities. Total Q4 receivables, which includes current and delinquent amounts owed, increased 21.7% versus a prior quarter, from around $82 million to about $100 million. Current or non-delinquent receivables increased 63% from approximately $26 million to around $42 million, with nearly half of this amount attributable to a single large invoice. Delinquent receivables increased just 2.6% from about $56 million to approximately $58 million. And as referenced previously, total current or not yet due receivables are approximately $42 million, with about $58 million in delinquent receivables. In addition, collection agency receivables increased by 5.2%, or around $1 million from the prior quarter, as we are ramping up our collections activities post-pandemic. Finally, we have $2.8 million in pending AR invoice write-offs that we are working through and plan to submit in Q1 or Q2 FY 23-24. Our AR team is in the process of reviewing the remaining $2.3 million. We have $500,000 that are awaiting our director approval, and there's a remaining $2.3 million that we're sort of still sifting through right now. So more information on that should be coming in the next quarter or two. For collections and return on investment, we do track our ROI, which is dividing the delinquent revenue collected by our investigator collectors by their salary and benefits cost. For Q4, we were right on target with an average 5-to-1 ROI across our business tax and accounts receivable groups. From November 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, our accounts receivable team offered an amnesty program for certain delinquent invoices. Customers with delinquent invoices for the billing period of April 2020 through August 2021 were offered a waiver of penalty and interest in exchange for paying their past due invoice balance. We mailed related outreach letters in January and February and sent final invoices in June for customers whose invoices remained unpaid at that time. As of June 30th, we collected approximately $184,000 through this program, with an additional $37,500 in pending payment plans. This concludes my presentation, and I'll turn it over to Albie Udom.
Good afternoon, Chairman and committee members. My name is Albie Udom, Deputy Director of Finance, in charge of Purchasing and Risk Management. And I'm here to present an update on our purchasing activities and risk management activities. So the purchasing department is responsible for the centralized procurement of equipment, supplies, materials, and information technology in the city and non-consuming services pursuant to Chapter 4.12 of the Muni Code. On this next slide, you will see our activities year to date for purchasing. It shows that in the last fiscal year, we completed about 100 new purchases using some kind of competitive solicitation. This number refers to purchases that use competitive solicitation. It doesn't go into purchases that did not, or renewals and options. On the next slide, I just want to talk about the procurement improvement update. You will be aware from the last report that we've been working on implementing the Guidehouse report into the procurement update. The biggest update we have is that the City Attorney's Office have now completed the initial draft of the ordinance that is supposed to implement the changes to the Muni Code. And staff is hoping to come to the council in September for the first reading of the changes. Staff will also continue to work on other recommendations of the study, and will continue to update you. The next slide is about the disparity study, which the city has been engaged in. The intent of the study is to try and find out what challenges small and local businesses have in dealing with the city, conducting business with the city. From the previous report, you will know that the city engaged a consultant, MGT Consulting, to conduct this study for us. MGT has been involved in data collection for this, and happy to announce that they've made some good progress. and we're hoping that we will see the end of the study by sometime in October. MGT has already started providing us some initial drafts of the report, the front-end draft of the report, so we can consider that. The next slide talks about the risk management activities for the department. The risk management department is under the finance department, and that looks at what risks the city faces in all its transactions and makes recommendations. So looking at the slide there, you can see that in last fiscal year, the risk management department reviewed 1,151 contract specifications. 1,151 contract specifications, and reviewed 679 actual contracts to make sure that insurance requirements are met. In addition to that, they issued letters of self-insurance. They collected about $681,000 in subrogation dollars, and these are dollars that would have gone uncollected if they hadn't stepped in. And for their activities, the risk management department facilitated property loss prevention with visits to, at the City Auditorium Complex and Montgomery Theater. They completed negotiations on San José Mineta International Airport property appraisal and the insurance for the regional wastewater facilities. They've also come up with a program for special events liability insurance, so that small businesses that contract with us for just special events will be able to tap into that to get insurance that meets the city's requirements. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Chair. That concludes our presentation. We're available for questions.
Thank you so much for the thorough presentation. I know there's some questions. I have questions. We're going to go to some of the committee members. Actually, before we do that, we're going to go to public comment. I saw the look from the city clerk's office. So let's go to public comment, and then we'll come back to the committee.
Blair Beekman.
Hi, thank you. Blair Beekman here. The mute button just came on. Unmute button. Yeah, thanks for this item. Accounting staff, they're giving very thorough reports on these quarterly reports now, I've noticed. So thank you for that. Their memo talks about items to talk about is debt management, investment management, revenue management, and purchasing and risk management. And I hope with the upcoming recent strike issues with the city workers that was just solved, I'm assuming it's been solved, that thank you to everyone in that app. I mentioned earlier this week that back in 2021, I guess, in the spring and late winter, police unions across the Bay Area got really a lot of raises, and possibly throughout the state. And that set in motion what became the inflationary patterns that have been set upon for the past few years that we're just learning to calm down and mellow out. And so I've been kind of worried about this upcoming, the recent city workers strike. But I am trusting that, city workers, their accountants and union accountants can be a bit more to understand good accounting practices for the upcoming years and how to better navigate the upcoming years. And I wish that was a bit more spoken to on this item today. I've heard a lot of council persons and the mayor talk about, we're going to have to be cutting programs. Yet at the same time, we have some really important upcoming city projects in the next few years. I think as a whole community effort are really exciting and hopeful. I hope you'd explain some of that with this item. Thank you.
Back to the committee.
Thank you for your comments, Blair. We're going to go to council member. Actually, before I go to the council members, let me just say that whoever makes the motion, make sure to cross-reference this to the full city council meeting of September 19th, 2023. So we'll go ahead and go to Councilmember Batra, please.
Thank you for that detailed report and covering all aspects. I got a question regarding your debt management. Were we able to take advantage of the low interest rate where we locked a lot of our bonds at a low rate and taking advantage of the investments on the high end? Or could you just give a comment on how we are doing in that terms of, or we have all floating rate debt and so we are paying whatever the current rate debt is?
Sure, thank you for that question. That's a great question. I can only provide some general comments on that. I know our previous finance director had made a lot of financing, completed a lot of financing projects in 2019 and 2020, 21, when the rates was historically low. So the city really took the advantage of the low interest rate and restructured our standing debt portfolio. I cannot really comment on the bond proceeds investing during that time because I wasn't really managing the debt portfolio at that time. But all I can tell you, the most recent incidents, like for the wastewater revenue bonds in December, we issued $268 million in debt. We immediately bought slugs investments before we used the proceeds to refund the outstanding short-term wastewater revenue notes. With that exercise, we were actually able to net over $500,000 in gain for the city, which is tax-free. And then going forward, we certainly will looking at every new bond issuance to seek opportunity to invest the proceeds, and then to see if we can benefit the city for some. Most of the cities that are issued as a tax exempt, we have to follow the arbitrage rebate rule. So what it means is that there's a certain earning we can earn. If we earn anything beyond that rate, we will have to return to IRS. But if that's the case, so be it, right? At least we can retain what's allowed to us. Certainly we'll take a very serious look into the new bond proceeds. But for refunding proceeds, very, very likely we don't have a lot of investment opportunities because the refunding proceeds are mostly likely to be applied to the escrow to refund the bonds. As of the tax law permitted by IRS, for tax-exempt bonds, we can only do current refunding, meaning we have very short time to hold the bond proceeds. For taxable debt, usually because they're taxable, the arbitrage play is limited in the market, no matter which period you're in. But doesn't mean we'll forego those opportunities. Definitely, every new bond issue, we're going to take a look at any kind of market play we can take advantage of.
Thank you very much for that excellent financial management, and I feel good that we have our financial activity in your hands. Congratulations.
Thank you, Councilmember. If I can just add, I agree with everything Chinyu said. I'll also just share that as we look out in our portfolio of what bonds are actually refundable, we have an opportunity for the airport in 24. We also have an opportunity in 27 for the airport. So there's really not a lot of opportunities for us to refund. That goes to say that we've done all the refunding that we could in the past 5 to 7 years. So our previous finance director did a great job getting ahead of the interest rates when they were really low.
Make a motion to accept that and wanting me to cross-reference.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion in the second and cross-reference to the Councilmember Batra to the September 19th.
September 19, 2023.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, Thank you. There's a motion, a second, and then Councilmember Torres has some comments.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for that presentation. Very important to learn and read how our city is financed. You know, I know I've been sitting here for 8 months, and it's still, you know, these presentations make it a lot easier, by the way, when we make decisions. As you may know, we might not have the answer today, right? We could always talk offline about this. We push item 6.1, the municipal utility, down to October. How would this help our revenues for utility billing?
So I could speak to that. So if you're referring to the agenda item from Tuesday?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
6.9, item 6.1.
That is related to the clean energy department. All of clean energy charges are run through and billed by a third party, by PG&E. So what our team in revenue management bills is our sewer, our water, and our garbage. The electricity is not billed or collected through the finance team. So the actions there would not have any direct impact on the team on the work that John's team does in billing and collecting.
Right, so I do see that San Jose Clean Energy brings in let's round up, $168 million. So we don't know yet if it's gonna help or hurt.
We wouldn't know.
Okay.
At this point, I'm not sure it's totally related to the utility billing activity that our team's involved in.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's important for us to know when we're making these decisions in October. The other one is maybe also another offline question. I noticed our business, how much we bring in for business, our business tax licenses, right? Or folks opening up a business in the city of San Jose and they're taxed. I know that 10 or 12 years ago, I think folks were thinking of a gross receipts tax. What happened, and has the city ever looked back and said maybe we should bring it back? Because I know that was a little bit controversial, right? Because it's taxing and more taxes. So.
Yeah, that might be something we need to follow up with offline and get some folks that were here and understood the conversations that were happening as they were developing the ballot measure in 2016 when they did modernize the business tax. At that point, they put into effect some ways to increase the tax, which I think was around 12 million up to over 20 million and 25 million that we're seeing today. But we also put in increases for CPI adjustments to go on an annual basis to keep track.
Right.
So that's the current system. I believe at that time there were considerations for gross receipts, but I'm not particularly, I wasn't here for those details and weren't in those conversations, so we'll need to follow up and understand why we did, why we chose to go in the direction we did.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. That's it for me. Thank you.
Rob from City Manager, I don't know if there's anything you want to chime in before we go to the next person. But.
Yep, this is Councilmember. We'll circle back with you also on the clean energy question. Part of it is when the opportunity comes, what might develop in terms of the bill back, like the ones that you heard on Tuesday. It's too early to speculate, but that revenue source would have to be self-sustaining in the sense that it is a revenue-driven enterprise. But we don't have too many projections. It's more of a matter of getting positioned for potential opportunities rather than firm commitments.
No, great, yeah, and I asked the question because this is we have major decisions to to deal with in the city of San Jose, but this one is important, right? And believe it or not, my colleagues, I don't know if you're getting them, but I get emails, from people like, don't you dare go into the utility business, to other folks saying, yes, let's do it. And so, I definitely want to hear from both sides, right? I'm a political science major. I'm not a finance major or a utility major, or I don't know what you would do to get a degree in utilities. But anyways, you get the point, right? We all have our niche. So thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to Vice Mayor Kamei.
trying to get used to the system. So I wanted to thank you so much. You know, I looked at the portfolio performance, and it was very good. So congratulations. I know there's a whole team that does work on this, so I think that's really great. But you've set a bar now, right? And I know that past performance will not be guaranteeing future performance, but that was pretty good. So I just want to recognize that, and I know it takes work, and so I wanted to congratulate you. I also had a question regarding the amnesty program, and I think that it's commendable that during that period of time, there were so many people who were not in a good situation, and so that, you know, we've carried it through. I hope we're out of the woods, but you never know. I was wondering if the city has some kind of other process such that if there's a situation that comes up, somebody loses their job and all of that, if they're eligible for like payment plans and things like that.
Thank you for the question. Definitely, we try to work with our residents as much as possible to offer payment plan options. And we actually have 34 payment plans that are associated with the amnesty program that are still ongoing, as an example. So we do whatever we can to work with them to make their payments affordable, to try to collect on the debt.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, because I know that from time to time you get into circumstances that you had not planned for, and given that, you know, a lot of people are not, don't have that extra, you know, 3 months of cash around to, you know, deal with any emergencies, I think that we have to be flexible. So thank you for that. And that's all the questions that I had. I really know that there's a lot of work that goes into this, and I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Vice Mayor, if I may add on to that, we also specifically within our business tax program, we have financial hardship programs, and they're scattered throughout the city for different billing and different programs that we have. So that is a source and can be used if residents or businesses fall in hard times, that they can apply for those hardship programs and can seek relief from their tax.
Thank you. We have Councilmember Dwan that has some comments.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to follow up on that particular statement that you're making. One, is there any future amnesty program that you might put out there for the citizens who have hardship? Two, if so, how do the citizens get hold of these programs besides searching through our city website? And sometimes for the elderly or so on, have very difficult time to navigate.
I'll speak to business tax because that's the one we're most familiar with. That's a program that we run entirely from end to end. In terms of the noticing of it, it's included with each of the renewal bills, or as they're applying for a business tax initially, there's also a field that they need to complete, and they need to select whether they want to apply for hardship or not. And information is up front. It's very clear for them to be able to apply, read the criteria, and determine whether they want to go forward with that or not. If they meet the criteria, they can go forward, and they can receive a business tax certificate without having to pay the tax. So that's just one example. If they're a renewing business and happens that this year's financials aren't as positive as they were in the previous year in their financial condition, there is information included in the renewal notice that's mailed to them that would inform them about that program.
And does that information come in different languages? Because I know a lot of business owners who, they have difficulty in communicating in English.
John, can you confirm?
I'm pretty sure that there's some translated text at the bottom of each mailing that tells them they can call a phone number if they need translation assistance.
Perfect, thank you.
Sure, and I just wanted to add too that the accounts receivable amnesty program was kind of the closure to amnesty programs or relief programs that we had across our revenue management team. We had the business tax hardship program, which allowed customers that were struggling financially, as Rick alluded to apply for an exemption for their business tax if they met certain eligibility requirements related to income. The second one was that we worked with the state and we obtained utilities payment relief assistance for our customers for both water and electric. And so this is sort of the third leg in our process. And by the way, for utilities, we are now partnering with Sacred Heart to offer a program called Low Income Home Water Assistance Program to customers that are struggling financially. And that's ongoing, and we're continuing to process those regularly, those applications. We also put a low income and medically vulnerable assistance form online for our utilities customers so they can let us know that they're struggling and apply for certain types of benefits that way. And so this amnesty program was sort of the last piece because we did it for our business tax, for our utilities program, and now for our accounts receivable programs. But we do have some programs that are ongoing that we're planning to continue.
Thank you for the good work and keep up.
You're welcome. And I forgot to mention that we partnered with the city manager's office, their communications person, to send outreach, across the city. We sent mailings, we put notices on our website, and we worked with our business community to let them know about the business tax hardship exemption program when that was going on too. So anytime we do these programs, we partner with them to do outreach, we do mailings, we do whatever we can to get the word out, we place phone calls, and we do everything in our ability to help people take advantage of these programs.
Thank you.
Thank you. I had a few questions too, and I suspect you probably didn't expect these many questions, but I'm glad you're fielding all the questions. One of the first questions I have is there a distinction to be made between purchasing and procurement? Is that, I mean, it's probably a silly question, but I've often wondered, it seems to me to be the same thing, but it seems based on the report that it's slightly different, and so can you help me understand that?
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember, for that question. It's a really good question. I think it's more of a matter of semantics than anything else. It's really about the same. The terms have been used interchangeably. I came from a different jurisdiction where it was called procurement department. It's called purchasing department here. At the end of the day, what happens is it's the department that really is in charge of making sure that all the rules of purchasing are abided by. All the mini code rules for purchasing are abided by in whatever we do.
I'll also add to that that there could be some nuances. The procurement, when I think about a procurement, purchasing is more broad, right? There's direct purchases. You can use a P card. There's other ways. A procurement is kind of going through a process, whether it be a competitive or informal process, to get the best service or good at the best price. So it's kind of working through that. We have a number of different avenues in terms of how we work through a procurement process. There's informal process that could be getting a number of quotes and selecting the lowest bid. That could be working through a full RFP at the other end of the spectrum where there's an evaluative process. I would consider that to be the procurement process, and purchasing is a little bit more broad.
Okay, all right, thank you. The other question I had is there was one of the slides talked about facility property loss prevention visits to the auditorium and Montgomery Theater. Obviously, those are pieces of real estate the city has. I'm trying to understand exactly what that means, or what is it that property loss? I mean, is it?
So the city purchases insurance through our insurance partners, Alliant. Alliant is our broker that goes out to get us insurance. So in order to make sure that we're getting the best terms for our insurance, they conduct loss prevention recommendations. They come out, they visit some of our properties, and they make recommendations to make sure that we're doing certain things that will either prevent loss or limit loss in case of any damage. And then so that's what it means. We accompany them to go out to the different sites. The biggest was being the airport, wastewater facilities, City Hall. That's what it is.
Okay. It just made me think about you know, we've often discussed here, well, not here at this committee, but on council, just the repaving of our streets as an example, right? We hire contractors to do the work. They go out and do the work. Sometimes the work is shoddy, and sometimes we see potholes like a few months after the work's done. So in that circumstance, would that be the same as property loss prevention? I mean, we essentially paid for a service, or, you know, there's some sort of liability, not liability, but coverage, like insurance coverage for repairing the road. I mean, would that fall under this, or?
Not, I don't think exactly. This is more related to our own assets that we own. So these properties are our assets. As Albie was explaining, the insurance companies will come out, they'll inspect, they'll walk the buildings. An example would be if there's no sprinkler system in the building. They can make a recommendation that the city add a sprinkler system so that in the event of a fire, the loss could be limited. And so that would be a recommendation as they go through and walk and examine our properties and make recommendations. And it's up to the city, and usually we partner with the Public Works Department to actually get those, to perform those upgrades so that our insurance on a year-over-year basis, the premiums can stay stable or
I understand, okay.
reduce.
I was just thinking about the roadway. Obviously, it's city property, not a physical building, but just trying to think through some of that. And so anyway, but thank you for that. The other question I have, or really an ask, is I wasn't too familiar with the disparity study. And so just as a personal request, can you send my office a little bit more information about that? I found it fascinating. You know, it talks about underway to evaluate any need for new and updated procurement purchasing policies, I assume, to facilitate participation of different businesses. That was interesting to me. Just the other day, let me pull it up, or just yesterday, I had a meeting with City Financial Audit, regarding the City Financial Audit with Macias, Gina, and O'Connell. And obviously they talked about finances, but they used the term that I had never really heard before, and it's fascinating, and it's tied into that. And they mentioned that, so they've had the contract, the city financial auditing contract, I guess, but it goes out to bid periodically. They called it partner rotation. So they've had it for a little while. It goes out to bid automatically, and then you bring it back in. And so I was thinking about that in terms of the disparity study, and so the feeling I get is that when folks get city contracts, whether it be a company, a small company, large company, they tend to hold on to it for a long time. and I think the rules are a little unclear. And so is that part of the disparity study to figure that out? I mean, sort of partner rotation, if you will, or how to open up contracts more frequently? Is that part of it?
Thank you very much for that question. No, the disparity study is really driven to try to find out if there are any challenges that the small businesses face in contracting with the city, and hopefully make recommendations as to how we can overcome that. I will be happy to meet with your office and do a briefing for them on that.
Yeah. And I guess, I mean...
But it's not the rotation.
Yeah, but in my mind, I mean, that would probably be an obstacle, right, is that they're not open. Someone secured the contract and it stays locked in for years and years, and extensions are built in.
I can speak to the procurement of those services. You know, they're professional services. There's, in the world of CPAs, those firms that are performing work for governments is shrinking year over year. So the city auditor actually goes out and does an RFP every, I believe it's 5 to 7 years. So there will be an opportunity for new firms to bid on the city's contract.
For the finance and auditing, right?
That is for the city's financial external auditor. But to your question of partner rotation, that's a way, if it's the same firm that will win a contract or has a longer term contract, that's a mechanism that they use. The managing partner on the engagement will need to rotate after so many years. That's per accounting guidance and standards that they need to rotate.
And so this auditing firm has a chance to jump back into the pool and reapply to the RFP, and they may be selected again or not. Right. But I guess I'm wondering, that principle of, again, I'll just call it partner rotation because it just stood out to me as he said that. Wouldn't that be helpful in other circumstances and create opportunities for other businesses wanting to do business with the city to be in that procurement or purchasing space? I like your thoughts. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, I mean, certainly if we're running into challenges where there's a limited pool of contractors or businesses, if they are, I don't think there's anything that would bar them from reapplying for services. And so working on an arrangement where there's a rotation makes sense. I think that's something we can certainly entertain.
Yeah, thank you. And so I look forward to maybe having a meeting and talk a little bit about a disparity study. It interests me. I'll just leave you with this last anecdote that I think fits in this conversation about procurement or purchasing so in the city budget, there was a line item in there, I think it was about $100,000 for the power washing of Alum Rock Avenue or something like that. It's an obscure little item that was in the massive city budget. It stood out to someone in the community because I got outreach from a company that does that work, and they're like, hey, how do we compete? And I didn't really understand how it worked, and I said, I really don't know, to be honest with you. I asked Councilmember Ortiz, because it was happening in District 5, and it turns out we already, I guess, have someone that's doing it, but I don't really know what to tell those type of businesses that actually want to get into the field to play ball with the city, if you will, and I'm not quite sure if we don't know how to guide them and tell them where to go at the very least. I'm not sure they do, especially small minority-owned businesses where, maybe primarily speak Vietnamese or Spanish. But how do we create a space in which they can step through that door and participate? And I just wanted to throw that out there. You don't need to answer. You can comment if you like, but I just wanted to put that out there.
One comment, Chair. We do actually have programs for outreach and to encourage small and locals to apply. Public Works and Purchasing both have those programs. The best guidance we can give for council is just channel them through the city manager's office, Purchasing, or Public Works, depending on those opportunities. We'll make sure they plug in. We do publish the contracts when they expire, length, and all opportunities. So the other good advice is to make sure that they register on Bid and Go, which is Purchasing's clearinghouse, and they can get notifications of any opportunities in their category whenever they come up automatically. So they'll always get a ping and say, hey, this one's up here for you. And then the other programs are to assist people to try to get into government work, because it does take some rigor to get through a government procurement process.
Correct. Okay.
And
right.
Just to add
Please,
to that, what Rob just said, the city actually has a program where small and local businesses can get up to 10% preference if they bid on a contract. So
yeah, so it's that point allocation, right, when they're during the RFP and such.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Very good. Yeah, I think it's the fundamental challenge is trying to get people in through that door to even compete, right? But I appreciate it, and thank you. I look forward to talking to you. And we have Councilmember Duan that has thoughts.
I just have a quick question regarding procurement. Have your department think about collaboration with other government or city when procurement for a particular item or services? So by joint venture, I think you get a better pricing on purchasing whatever it is.
Thank you, Councilmember, for that question. Yes, we're always looking to partner with other jurisdictions in order to be able to take advantage of the economies of scale in our purchase. We go into joint purchase agreements. We piggyback contracts that have been already procured by other jurisdictions. And we also reach out to other jurisdictions when we're trying to set up an RFP to see if they want to go in with us in order to be able to take advantage of that. Incidentally, one of the things that we will be coming back to council with in September with the mini code change is to actually make that even easier for staff to be able to piggyback other contracts that have been put out by other jurisdictions. So yes, the area of cooperative contract is very important to us because it gives, apart from advantage of economies of scale, it also makes it easier for our staff, cuts down on the workload for staff. So it is something that we're looking at.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and take the vote now. Thank you so much for the presentation. We appreciate it. And it's unit, well, Vice Mayor Kamei is here, I suspect. Okay, we're going to keep moving on. Thank you so much for the presentation. Appreciate it. We're going to move on to item 2, firework ordinance work plan status report. Got James Dobson, Deputy Fire Chief, Brian Spears, Police Captain, Rachel Roberts, Deputy Director, PBCE. Appreciate your presence. Thank you.
Just to note for the record, Vice Mayor Kamei did return, and it's a vote yes for the previous item.
Okay, sounds good. Go ahead and start whenever you guys are ready. Thank you for waiting. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Mayor, Council members, City Manager's Office, City Attorney's Office. My name is James Dobson, Deputy Fire Chief and Fire Marshal for the San Jose Fire Department. The San Jose Fire Department, in collaboration with the San Jose Police Department, Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement, City IT, City Attorney's Office, and City Manager's Office, worked at the direction of Council to provide the Fireworks Ordinance Work Plan Status Report update. Fireworks campaign agencies partner with our community organizations to increase the reach of our Fed Up with Fireworks messaging that focuses on the extreme risk illegal fireworks pose to people, property, and the environment during the wildland season. Increased reporting through the online SJ311 illegal fireworks reporting tool enhances the ability of fire and police departments to create a preemptive presence in hotspot areas. It also enhances reporting that increases opportunities for enforcement by police and code enforcement. This year's goals included reducing injuries and fires, decreasing illegal fireworks in historic hotspot areas, increasing awareness of enforcement fines, creating an SJ311 dashboard to inform city staff and the public of timely reporting data, and targeted advertising towards the communities most impacted by illegal fireworks. Although much of the attention about illegal fireworks comes during the 4th of July holiday, the illegal fireworks team meets year-round to develop strategies to limit illegal fireworks. Targeted advertising and enforcement activities increase around New Year's Eve, Lunar New Year, and the 4th of July holiday. On October 27, 2020, City Council directed city staff to work on several items associated with the Fireworks Ordinance Work Plan. To date, many of these items have been completed, such as the creation of a social host ordinance, regular reporting to this committee, reporting to City Council in 2020, evaluating citation issuance protocols, comparing illegal fireworks fine amounts throughout the region, funding a hotspot enforcement pilot, creating the SJ311 illegal fireworks reporting tool, collaborating with county, state, and federal partners, and evaluating the use of drones for enforcement activities. Although these tasks were completed, the illegal fireworks teams continues to evaluate opportunities, such as this year's reevaluation of the drone use to support the social host ordinance enforcement, based on a neighboring jurisdiction's success with drone technology. Unfortunately, after evaluation, it was determined that the city's current policy governing the use of drones is too restrictive to allow the use of enforcing the social host ordinance, and we're unable to utilize the drones this year. Two items listed in the Fireworks Ordinance Work Plan continue to be items the illegal fireworks team works on. Every year, we continue to work to improve our racial equitable messaging, to enhance cultural competency by using multi-language messaging based on hotspot mapping. This year, we created dual language billboard advertising, which led with the language most utilized in the communities where the billboards were placed. Here are some examples of the diverse languages we use in our advertising: English,
Vietnamese, Spanish, and Chinese, both simplified and traditional. We continue to work to enhance the messaging in our campaign, but the replacement of banners and campaign materials is challenging. We're looking forward to refreshing the campaign in the future, provided that funding is available. This year, our hotspot targeted print advertising included bus stop enclosures, banners at city-owned buildings, Mercury newspaper newsprint, and leaflets placed at our community centers and libraries. Targeted electronic advertising, we utilize our city's fireworks website, e-notifications, Google Ads, Facebook ads, Instagram, Twitter, and Nextdoor to solicit thousands of page views, tens of thousands of engagements, and millions of impressions. Sorry, I'm one slide off. The fireworks team also creates press conferences or created a press conference to advertise safe and legal fireworks displays with the goal of creating safe spaces to observe fireworks while deterring the illegal use of fireworks. The outcomes of this year's illegal fireworks campaign included targeted social media outreach, expanded messaging toolkits, continued collaboration between city, and county agencies, community engagement, and the introduction of the SJ311 dashboard, which enhanced enforcement and our us being out in areas prior to the setting off of fireworks. This year also, the police department utilized enforcement mechanisms for spectators of illegal fireworks displays. To increase the city's ability to provide targeted messaging and enhanced enforcement, we attempt to encourage reporting of illegal fireworks through the SJ311 app and web-based reporting tool. But we also provide a hotline that members of the community can call. This year, the illegal fireworks hotline and SJ311 received a total of 247 calls. After callers listened to an informative messaging directing callers to the online reporting tool, or in the case of an emergency, 911, 151 of these calls were ultimately transferred to the after-hours service. 96 of the calls received disconnected after receiving directions about the online reporting tool. Due to the nature of fireworks, usually being set off after normal business hours at night, no calls were answered by the SJ311 staff, which worked during normal business hours. This year, our reporting period for all resources was June 1st through July 10th. This time frame includes the run-up to the 4th of July holiday and the weekend after the holiday. Since the successful launch of the online reporting tool, we have seen a steady decline in the use of the fireworks hotline. But we still think it is essential to providing community members with valuable messaging about the online reporting tool. It also provides another option to community members that to make reports that may not have access to online reporting. The San Jose Fire Department spent time and resources enhancing our documentation of fireworks-related calls. In the past, our responses were based on what was found in the field. This year, we not only accounted for what was found in the field by crews, but also the initial nature of the call taken by our dispatch team. The fire department responded to 86 emergency calls, resulting in responses to 2 structure fires, 23 vegetation fires, 17 outside rubbish fires, and 36 service calls involving noise or report on conditions investigations. We also had 8 medical calls. We saw a slight increase in the number of calls for service, a slight reduction in the number of medical calls, but a significant reduction in the number of fires. There are many factors that increase the potential for fires, including receptive fuels, wind, and humidity. Fortunately, this year our fuels cured later in the season due to significant rains we had during winter and spring, as compared to last year when we were experiencing drought conditions. The message I would like to convey is that our community needs to continue to focus on eliminating illegal fireworks to prevent damage to persons, property, and the environment when fuel and weather conditions are much less favorable. The police department utilized public safety advisory videos to deter the use of illegal fireworks. They utilized targeted road diversions to reduce firework activities. And new this year, they enforced spectator citations for persons actively observing illegal fireworks displays. The police department and fire department collaborated in utilizing the 2022 hotspot data and real-time SJ311 dashboard mapping to deploy highly visible patrols in communities that have experienced elevated illegal fireworks activity. The departments also worked together on enforcement actions to recover 39,000 pounds of illegal fireworks and arrested 3 persons charged with the sale of illegal fireworks. This removed tons of illegal fireworks from our community. In addition, the police department collaborated with council members to display signs at parks in hotspot areas indicating that fireworks are illegal and that parks close at sunset. Having police patrols walk through parks earlier in the day to provide information and then returning at sunset to clear the parks significantly reduced illegal fireworks use in these areas. This year, the police department had 567 calls for service associated with fireworks. They issued 11 citations, 19 spectator citations, and conducted 3 arrests. While the number of calls for service was reduced, the number of arrests and citations increased significantly compared to the previous years. One of the great successes of last year's illegal fireworks campaign was the introduction of the SJ311 online reporting tool. The SJ311 online reporting tool improved on previous reporting platforms in 2 significant ways. First, the SJ311 platform did not allow incomplete reports to be submitted, which ensured that every report of illegal fireworks was actionable for warnings, enforcement, or hotspot reporting. Second, reporting through the 311 platform allowed users the option to create an account before submitting a fireworks report. Creating an account enabled the SJ311 system to send updates to the account holder as the report made its way through the city's code enforcement review process. The system alerted the reporting party to the outcome of their submission regarding whether it resulted in the issuance of a warning letter, citation, or if it was used in the city's fireworks hotspot mapping efforts. This year, the SJ311 reporting tool received a total of 1,014 reports. 100% of them were actionable, resulting in 121 warnings, 0 citations, and 893 hotspot data points. The number of reports was less than expected due to technical difficulties that occurred on the SJ311 reporting platform for registered users. The reduction in administrative citations issued by code enforcement may be tied to the reduction in registered user reporting. Staff will conduct surveys to registered users to understand the challenges faced in reporting with the goal of enhancing future enforcement. All data received will be utilized for this year's coming campaign. The visual display here shows the newly introduced illegal fireworks dashboard. The user is able to select a date range, which then displays the number of reports filed per district and neighborhood. There is also a map that geographically displays all illegal fireworks reports during the selected time range. Due to privacy concerns, the public-facing dashboard does not have a zoom feature enabled on the map. The city staff dashboard, however, allows for zooming down to the individual neighborhood and streets for the deployment of resources for highly visible patrols and potential enforcement activity. We have heard strong support from registered users regarding the dashboard. Consistent with last year's data, illegal fireworks reporting spiked just before and after the 4th of July holiday. This year, the number of anonymous user reports was significantly higher than the number of registered users reports. This is likely caused by the site's technical difficulties that affected the ability of registered users to file reports just before and during the 4th of July holiday. The next steps in the illegal fireworks campaign are for collaborating departments to address the remaining work plan tasks. Look for ways to improve the campaign and evaluate the lessons learned to move the program forward. We will continue to foster relationships at a local, regional, and state level to identify successful practices in deterring the illegal use of fireworks. We will look to enhance targeted, highly visible patrols by police and fire to reduce hotspot areas throughout the city of San Jose. We will look to enhance targeted enforcement by utilizing technology and looking for avenues to improve the ability to utilize tools like drones to assist in the effort. We will work to enhance community engagement in reporting illegal fireworks so that our hotspot mapping is more effective. And finally, we will work to automate information submitted by each department for annual reporting. The goal is for accurate and efficient reporting. Thank you for the opportunity to share the team's efforts in attempting to reduce illegal fireworks in your community. We are now available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, sir, for the presentation. We do have, actually, we're going to go to public comment first. I suspect Blair's on there, and then we'll come back to the committee.
Blair Beekman.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Thanks a lot for this item. You guys are really working on the issue, so congratulations to you. It is a slow process, and it's been a few years, and it seems like you're working on it. I wanted to offer, for all the work that you've been doing within, I'd like to give a comment to community and everyday public that I think it's also to consider. It's been a weird year weather-wise for ourselves, and that has possibly been a factor in how to consider people are just cautious a bit more this year, hopefully, in how they work with fireworks. And so maybe that's a factor to consider. Community factors, what their part in the process of working with firework things. I would like to hear that. That'd be interesting as a full community process to understand work in developing this issue. About the issue of drones, I'm not big on drones too much, but I'm trying to learn public safety factors that having a drone in the air to see where a fire is possibly starting really can help, because man, I've seen many a times just 40, 50-foot flames rise up, out of a firework mishap. And, it has to be put out and stuff. And it's amazingly frightening to see that. And luckily, I haven't seen more damage than what has previously happened. But to have drones to note that, I hopefully can be first and foremost. And it can put things out quickly. Yeah, I'm not so much on the enforcement part, but in any event, thanks a lot for this item. It's been a long few years with this item, so good luck in your continued good efforts. To be patient, but you are. Thank you.
Back to the committee.
Okay, we're going to come back to the committee. I just wanted to say before I hand it off to some of my colleagues, just I know this issue is really an important issue for many of the residents, and I also know that this is not an issue that's going to be easily solved. And so I appreciate your tenacity, your commitment, your work around this issue, and specifically to both the police department and fire department. I know recently there was a fire in District 2. Obviously, fire department was involved in that, but I also know that the police department was instrumental in catching some of the folks that were, 30 pounds of fireworks or something? I think it might have been listed. 39,000. So good amount of fireworks. So I'd like to think that that's going to have an impact on the amount of fireworks on the street, but I know it's not the end of this. So just wanted to express that before I pass it on, but thank you for everything you guys do. We're going to go to Councilmember Dwan, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Deputy Chief, for the thorough report. Out of the 1,114 report received, 12 was duplicated, so we're down to, approximately 1,002 report. Out of all those, we only issued 121 warnings, 0 citation. So why didn't we issue all the warnings to the other 900 or 1,002 report?
I'm going to ask that Rachel Roberts with Code Enforcement, who's online, if we can open her mic, she'd be the person to answer that question.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Council Member. So that total number includes not only the anonymous reports, but also the registered users reports. And in order for us to issue a warning notice, we at a minimum need a registered user's information. And then in addition to that, we need to have at least at a minimum a good description of what was occurring, so where the fireworks being activity around the fireworks, but also an address of the location where they occurred. So it needs to be an actual street address of a private property where the activity occurred in order for us to issue that warning. So in this instance, out of that total number, 121 of those reports had that criteria.
Thank you. Do you think that we need to educate our residents to those parameters so that way when they report, it'll be a little bit more thorough and give you a better indication what, when, where, why, and how?
Absolutely. We did do, there was a shift in the reporting. Last year was the first time we were allowing the anonymous users to file reports because we want to encourage all of our community members to file reports, whether it results in a warning or at a minimum ends up helping us to inform us of where the activity is occurring throughout the city. So that is a key change. So we will continue to allow those anonymous reports, but we have been proactively doing that outreach. We both last year and this year provided a webinar to the All Neighborhoods Leadership Group on how to report, walking their attendees through each step of the process. And we're working to make that tutorial available online, so folks will have that going forward. And then we have continued to make improvements to the online reporting tool and the information that's provided at each step so that it's easily understood what information we are seeking. But we do see this as an ongoing effort that will continue to gain understanding and make improvements as we go. And that's part of why we're proposing to do the survey with those who have reported this year, so we can understand any challenges or misunderstandings they may have had and how we can help to clarify and encourage better reporting in the future.
Thank you. Deputy Chief, the report stated that you had 86 emergency responses. Is that between June 1st to July 11th? The data represent June 1st to July 11th.
It should be June 1st to July 10th.
Okay. Now, is that all related due to fireworks?
That's correct. Whether it was a dispatch that included information about fireworks, or if crews on scene determined that there was fireworks associated calls when they got to the scene.
Do you have any data regarding the Lunar New Year? As you well know, we have 40% of our population is Asian American, and culturally they use fireworks not only for opening a new business, including the celebration of Tet New Year. So I'd like to see the data of any type of fire, injury, medical calls, or smokes, or vegetation fire for that matter. Do you have any of that information?
Councilmember, I do have that data. I can provide that to you. I just do not have it with me right here. But yes, I can provide that data to you.
Yes, I would like to see that offline. And how do you deal with cultural events where again, 40% of our population is Asian, and they use quite a bit of fireworks, right? I mean, not so much the up in the air fireworks, it's more of a firecrackers, if you will. And I know that the cost of having $1,000 for a permit through the fire department, plus about $1,500 just to have a pyrotechnique, that's not including just perhaps 1 or 200 strands to go off. That's quite expensive. How do you plan to accommodate or help the citizen to be able to use the pyrotechniques and apply for the application? Because at this point, it seemed financially expensive to do so.
Thank you for the question. So currently, all fireworks, including safe and sane fireworks, are illegal in the city of San Jose. The only fireworks displays that are allowed are by professional licensed pyrotechnicians. That is the inspection process and the permit process that you are speaking of. We encourage large, safe demonstration of fireworks, especially around cultural holidays. We do not encourage private use of fireworks, so just because there is a licensed pyrotechnician requirement. Regarding costs, we do have inspections that occur whenever a fireworks display is going to occur. We also have plan review costs for personnel, and that factors into that fee. It is expensive, but part of that is because of the time it takes actually going out in the field and observing the downwind areas, the area where the fireworks are going to be put on, and then also any safety equipment that is supposed to be around there.
Let's say a resident want to apply for that particular permit, and they're shooting off, 200 firecrackers to ward away the evil and to start their new year. So I would imagine having to pay close to $3,000 for, 200 firecrackers to go off. That's extremely expensive. And do you have program that can help our citizen to apply, but also to help them understand the safetiness and the pyrotechnic part of it?
We don't currently have a program for an individual user for just 200 firecrackers to submit unless they utilize a licensed pyrotechnician. There are no exceptions in the city's laws that make all safe and sane and all fireworks illegal. We don't have any exceptions in there. Regarding costs, that is something that we can definitely look into as far as programs to assist. In the Bureau of Fire Prevention, we are 100% cost recovery. So the funds that go to that pay directly into the cost of our program. And so that's part of why fees are established through a fee study.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chief.
Thank you. We're going to go on to Councilmember Torres.
Thank you. Thank you all for being so proactive for this 4th of July. It definitely made an impact. I know, we do see there was a lot of things that happened, unfortunately, a lot of emergencies, but there would have been more if we weren't proactive. I'm also wondering if I can get the data that Councilmember Duan just asked for. So that'll be great. Oh, maybe for all of us. Okay. All right. I'm
For
hearing
everybody?
consensus.
Yep.
So, yeah, if you can send it to all of us or to the committee, that'd be great. Thank you. So regarding social media, a lot of amazing platforms you used, but I think one that I think we're missing, and not sure if it was not included, but TikTok. A lot of under 40 people, okay, under 35 people, let's be real. Under 35 people, we'll go down to under 25 people are now using TikTok, and I think it's very important that we are promoting this within our younger population in the city of San Jose. And so I think we should do TikTok. So I don't know if the city has an official TikTok account, but TikTok's important. And then the other one is, I believe the last time we increased fines for folks, and whether fines work or not, maybe I should ask that question. Captain, do fines work when it comes to this?
For this, I'm going to say at $25, no.
Okay. So I think the last time we increased it, and thank you to Chairperson Jimenez for giving me that information. The last time that we increased fines was in 2020, as we both saw. So this is all online, so we could be wrong. But was that the last time we increased fines for our fireworks?
That's correct. In the increase, there was no increase put in for spectators of fireworks. Therefore, it defaults to the base level, which is a $25 fine.
Oh, $25 fine. What are we seeing then?
For the spectators.
For the spectators.
Thank you. Okay. That's where I'm getting a little bit confused. Okay, so it's the first time is 1,000, the second time caught is 2,000, as we're seeing here, right?
That's correct. And then for the sale of fireworks, it can be up to $50,000.
50. Oh, wow. Okay, that's great. So for us to increase the fines from 1,000 to, I don't know, 10,000, I think Councilmember Jimenez helped raise the fines for illegal dumping. That has to go through rules, or does it go through this committee?
I'll just say the way we did it, we submitted a memo to rules, and then it came before the full council, and then we voted on it.
Okay, so if any of us want to increase the fines for having fireworks or firecrackers in your hands and you get caught, we just have to submit it through rules.
Yeah, and the last time we solicited information from areas in the region to find out what their fine amounts were, to provide that information just to kind of give a benchmark. And then we tried to set our fine amounts at a high level to be a deterrent.
Right. And so if we increase the fines, Captain, do you think we would prevent even further from folks making our neighborhoods a war zone?
As long as we continue the outreach and education, specifically year-round versus just around the holidays, I think that's adequate. That means we've given them fair warning. It's a known these are the consequences? Because I don't want to be, we penalize. So the outreach and education has to come with it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, yeah, of course. Well, the reason why I ask, because I see that my council district is covered in hotspots. So that's why I asked. So, but thank you for providing this information, and thanks again for being so proactive during this 4th of July season. That's it for me. Thank you.
I did have one question about the Lunar New Year and Tet New Year information. Would you want that from all of the different groups, PD, fire, as far as the data?
Please.
Okay.
And move to approve item D2. That's it. I don't have to say with the.
No, we're not
No,
cross-referencing.
okay, not covered.
Yeah,
Okay,
so there's a motion. Is there a second?
Move to approve item D2.
So Vice Mayor Kamei seconds, and she's next to speak.
Thank you. Yes, I do agree with my colleague to perhaps increase the fines to see if it's a greater deterrent. I just really wanted to recognize, I really appreciated your attachment B on the 4th of July summary that shows over, since 2016, what has happened. And Chair Jimenez already mentioned the 39,000. As I look across the years, the largest confiscation had been 550 pounds, but 39,000, in this collaboration, I just want to say that's remarkable. Really, really remarkable, because, just working together with the Fire's Arson Unit really helped a lot. I mean, it seems like with that much quantity, it probably was going to go towards a larger area. So I wanted to say thank you for that. And I really like the data that you have here. And I also like what Captain Spears just said in terms of education year-round, because I think that, these fireworks also affect our pets. And invariably, you will have fireworks that are not just during 4th of July. So I think, constant education, and maybe even having, I know that they have their own lots of work over at Animal Services, but it is an interest that many of pet lovers have, which is to ensure that, our pets don't get startled by these fireworks. So I just wanted to say thank you. I'm in for the year-round, education, and I think that looking at how we communicate, Councilmember Torres just mentioned TikTok. I think that there are other ways of communicating, especially with very specific, different ethnic communities. Think about what are going to be some of the best ways to get messages out. Is going to be critically important. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We have engaged this year Animal Services. They're not on the panel because they were just introduced this year, but you're 100% correct. Around the 4th of July holiday, due to fireworks, it's the #1 time frame in the year that pets go missing because they run away from it. So we have started to engage them in the committee.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilmember Batra.
Thank you for that excellent detailed report and the impacts made by the various actions you have taken, including the confiscation of 39,000 pounds. That could have a pretty devastating impact on if it was all used in city of San Jose. So I got a couple of questions. First one, since it is illegal of any kind of fireworks, whether, crackers or strings, is it illegal also for any store to be selling any kind of fireworks?
In the city of San Jose, all fireworks are illegal. The only time that you can utilize fireworks, like I indicated, is through a licensed pyrotechnician, and we ensure that they are insured and bonded so that any of their activities, if they have consequences, that they can be provided for.
So no store should have any kind of fireworks available in San Jose,
That is correct.
okay? I think that may be something 311 may have to have a reporting capability, because there were some noticeable stores, small ones, selling some of those low-impact fireworks. So that may be something which we need to educate our users, that they can report that as well, because it may not be clear that something like that is illegal or whatever.
So
Okay.
they can definitely, and that might give us opportunity for education. They can definitely report that through 311, but 311 is more for the fireworks going off. They can also submit that directly to my office, the Bureau of Fire Prevention, and we will go out and conduct enforcement on that.
Okay,
But that's an opportunity for education.
thank you. The other one, you said you were not able to use the drones this year, but you were able to use the drones previous year. Now, is that gap in whatever you were not able to do, is that accepted as a way that we are not going to be using it, or we are going to be overcoming the limitations and define whatever is practical to use the drones for? Are we giving up the drones? I just want to understand where we are.
Yes, so great question. Thank you, Councilmember. We have never used drones. We've evaluated the use of drones in the past. And specifically, we were looking for individuals setting off fireworks. Because of the height, because of the night, because they happen at night typically, the quality of the images were very difficult to identify individual people. With the advent of the social host ordinance, if you are hosting a fireworks event, then you can be issued an administrative citation. The use of the drone program, and the neighboring community that had some success was in Gilroy. They were able to utilize it so that they could actually see people entering after they initiated fireworks, entering occupancies, houses, everything else, and then it would trigger the social host ordinance because they were hosting that event. Yeah. I can't speak to all of the, maybe Captain Spears can, but it was police who did the evaluation for the drone program.
Okay. Thanks for that. The other one, you got a great mapping of where the reporting was done. It showed where. Now, we have sanctioned fireworks so that people have a chance to go and view them and not get involved with some of the things which are going to be detrimental to the society. Did this mapping indicate that there's some other place than where we have the sanctioned fireworks going on? We need a time to look into another sanctioned location for this?
So we had a list, and that was included in the materials for all sites that had permitted fireworks displays. We did get a couple calls or reports in those areas right around when the fireworks happened, and those are still included in our data set, but for the most part, people at the permissible, legal fireworks displays were not reporting the use of fireworks. It was more so in the neighborhoods, right down in the streets, right out in front of people's houses. That's where we were seeing, and then in parks, where we were seeing the use of illegal fireworks.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I think we continue on this path, and next year, hopefully the report is even better with no impact to no illegal fireworks at all. That's what the report would like to see coming from you, and with all that education. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just had a question. I know obviously we talked a little bit about the fire in South San Jose. It was at a storage facility. And I imagine that, and this is just a logical sort of thought, that if I'm selling fireworks and I'm storing a good amount of fireworks, I probably don't, especially given what happened, right? I probably don't want to put those in my garage or something like that, right? I mean, my own home could go up in flames. But what I'm curious about is it seems very logical to me that maybe a good storage location would be a storage facility, if you will. Just let me just rent a big space and just go in the middle of the night or whatever the hours are, back in, and then just, folks won't really see what's happening. Is there anything we learned from the storage unit that had that 30,000 pounds of fireworks as it relates to maybe strategies that some of these people use to store some of these things, and how we can maybe use that to, because I assume that it's probably not the only storage facility that has stuff like this, amongst other things. And so, Captain, is there anything that you guys learned, or maybe different approaches you're taking to trying to figure this out?
Well, this is a great question, Council. So there's two incidents. So we have the fire in southern San Jose, but where Councilmember Torres is in his area, this was a business, a functioning business, but also a hidden manufacturing location. So as a result of our, us having businesses who, whether they're subleasing, it's definitely, when you look at it, lesson learned, yes, right? The one particular business was a plumbing business. So to have pipes and materials of that nature would be common practice. However, obviously this individual was using it for, his criminal empire. So definitely when we're actively patrolling and responding to some of these calls, which ultimately was a call for service, open doors and things of that nature, we're trying to make sure we educate our officers when they go in to really take a glance of, we're there for this, but there's some serious community safety issues and concerns that arise, and often we collaborate when we find pipe bombs and things of those natures. We end up working hand in hand to figure out and render those devices safe. So yes, each call for service is not just that particular call. It's things just like you're describing. So yes.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, and we're gonna call the vote. Or actually, vote on your screen, but go ahead, vote. Okay, it was unanimous. Thank you so much for the report. We appreciate it. Have a great day. And then we're going to go to open forum. I think Blair's probably still hanging out. Blair? Or
No public comment?
no public comment. Okay. Thank you, Blair. Well, the meeting's over. Thank you everyone so much. Have a wonderful day.